Hello there everybody, it is me XfreezerBunny, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today's build is called Underwater Living, and as you might have already guessed, it is yet another underwater house build. Surprise. But yeah, this time we're not using the swimming pools. We are actually using the brand new pond tool, which was recently patched into the game. So yeah, full credits to my good friend Sim Architecture for tweeting about this, because I had no idea this was possible actually until I saw their tweet. So thank you for being part of the inspiration for this video. But yeah, I wanted to kind of revisit this underwater theme that we have on the channel, because I have done quite a couple of underwater houses before, and I think those are some of my favorite builds ever. And now that we can do this with the pond tool, I wanted to see how I can update my whole underwater house builds. And yeah, really excited with this build. I have been loving it so far. There's a couple of things that are worth mentioning about building quote-unquote underwater houses. So yeah, technically you can build fully underwater houses. It's technically possible, but there is a catch. If you build something that's fully underwater, it might not be fully playable because you can't make the walls cutaway, which is really annoying. So there's basically going to be this whole water effect if you don't have at least part of your walls above water. So as you can see over here, I have just a tiny sliver on the top part of the wall out of the water so that the walls will cut away for gameplay purposes. So that's one thing that it's definitely worth keeping in mind when you're doing your own underwater houses. Also, the windows can't be placed partially underwater. You either have to put them fully underwater or completely out of water. So I guess that's just a technical limitation, which is I'm fine with. But as you can see, I did use some shorter windows for this particular wall height. I would have preferred to use some full-length windows, but I don't mind with that compromise because it's not really that big of a difference. Using some slightly shorter windows still gives you the same effect of being able to look out into the open ocean, quote unquote. But yeah, and one more thing, there is some gameplay with the pond tool. We can use them to look for frogs, and also we can fish in them as well. If you put a certain item, the ponds will allow you to stock up on fish that you catch from regular bodies of water like rivers, lakes in the game, and you can keep your own fish basically, and you can fish for them in your ponds. Unfortunately, you can't swim in the ponds. I was really secretly hoping that mermaids in particular can swim in the ponds, but apparently that's not a thing yet. Who knows? Yeah, I feel like with the pond tool, I wouldn't be surprised if EA eventually gives us like a full-on pack about underwater gameplay, because we can already build underwater houses, so why not just go full on and just give us a full-on underwater gameplay pack? That would be so awesome. And that wouldn't be the first time in The Sims, because in The Sims 2 for the console, we did actually have one of the houses that we can live in was actually underwater. It's really fun. I really loved the Sims 2 for the console because it was a completely different game from the PC versions. And in that game, we had basically this story mode, or like a campaign, where you go to live in different houses. And one of the houses that you live in towards the end of the game, spoiler, is a futuristic underwater house type of lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with that kind of pack in the future, maybe about sustainability and the sea level rising and all of that stuff. I think that would be a pretty cool pack in the future, and I'd love to see it. But yeah, in other news, the Olympics are currently taking place in Japan, and I'm really happy to say that my country has won its first ever gold medal after 97 years of competing at the Olympics. Can you imagine, like 97 years of competing, and this is our first gold medal? It's really funny because I feel like the commentators at the opening ceremony kind of jinxed it. Or actually, I don't want to say jinx, they kind of blessed it actually, because they actually mentioned in the opening ceremony that the Philippines is the country that has the most medals without winning a gold. So now that we have a gold, we no longer have that distinction, and we are really proud. And yeah, the country is ecstatic right now, despite all of the crazy stuff that's going on. Yeah, unfortunately we are in and out of lockdown, so it is what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do to be safe, I guess. That being said, I want to know how you're all doing. Are you watching the Olympics? Is it, cheering you up or something? Did you watch it on TV? I did definitely watch it on TV. And yeah, on other more positive news, actually, I have just binge watched Teen Royals. Such a good show, actually. I haven't heard much about it until I saw it on Netflix, and I just randomly clicked on it because I literally have nothing else to watch. It's a Swedish TV series, and I hate that it only has 6 episodes because I really enjoyed it, actually. And I hope there's a second season. I've read up a little bit about it, and I've heard that it got pretty good reviews, so I'm crossing my fingers for a second season because I'm not really into the teen drama genre. But yeah, for some reason, the Teen Royals there's something about it that just felt different, and I really enjoyed it. Was it Teen Royals or Young Royals? Yeah, whatever it's called, you know what I mean. But yeah, the last teen drama that I probably watched and kind of enjoyed was Riverdale. And yeah, I did enjoy Riverdale, especially like the first season and maybe half of the second season. But yeah, eventually I kind of just dropped it, as I do with most Western dramas, even though I have been watching quite a lot of Western TV dramas, mostly from Europe. I loved Lupin. I'm super excited for the second season. I haven't gotten into it yet. And yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Just finished watching The Cook of Castamar. Also really loved it as well. It's a Spanish period drama, and probably one of the better period dramas that I've seen this year so far. We haven't really had a lot, so I'm looking forward to the second season of Bridgerton and The Great. And if Enola gets a second season, I'm also really looking forward to that because that's probably one of my favorites from last year. But yeah, moving back to the build, we are also going to be using a lot of the architectural stuff from Dream Home Decorator, which, if you guys didn't know, it is a game pack about interior design and architecture, and I really wasn't able to showcase a lot of the items that came with the pack when it came out because I did a construction site, funnily enough, and of course I didn't get to use a lot of the furnishings because I feel like they're more for homes. But this time I was able to use them because they were perfect for the style that I was going for, because I did try to do something different with this build because I feel like my other underwater houses were definitely more modern. This one I tried to go for more kind of like a industrial minimalist vibe. So yeah, I'm really happy that the Dream Home Decorator items worked really well for the style that I decided to go for in this build. And Dream Home Decorator also works really well with Eco Lifestyle. I feel like the swatches work really well with Eco Lifestyle, and I did use quite a bit of that pack in this build as well. Unfortunately, I will say that Dream Home Decorator, the swatches don't really work too well with base game, but at least it works with Eco Lifestyle because Eco Lifestyle has a lot of build objects. So at least there's that. That's one of the things that I really wasn't a big fan of in Cottage Living. I really wasn't a big fan of the swatches, to be honest. If you want to know more about my thoughts on Cottage Living, actually, I did do some cottage builds for early access on that pack. I know a lot of you are probably expecting me to do another cottage builds, but at this point, I've already done like a lot of cottage builds, so I don't think there's really anything more to do, unless I did it with other packs. Maybe we can come up with something, but yeah, if you're interested, you can check out my other videos on that. And I also have a current ongoing giveaway for Dream Home Decorator, so if you haven't seen my construction site build, you can go ahead and check that out. I'm guessing that giveaway should end pretty soon because that's been going on for like a month now and I still haven't chosen a winner, so still have a chance if you want Dream Home Decorator for yourself. I really love this new sectional that came with Dream Home Decorator. It's really cool. I love that we finally get some modular sofas. After so long of asking EA to give us this feature, we finally have sectionals, so that's pretty cool. Initially, I wasn't able to place them on a diagonal, but for some reason when I stopped recording, I did actually rotate the sofa and I was able to place them on a diagonal for some reason. It just didn't work while I was recording, so that was really weird. So that's that. For this build, I did go for more of an open concept floor plan, which is kind of different from my other underwater house builds. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, especially because it gives you this whole panorama of like the ocean. You can see it from all throughout the living area, and it's pretty cool in my opinion. I like to think that you can see all throughout the sea creatures swimming by and all of that stuff, even though we don't really have much. We have some fish, but that's pretty much it. I thought about putting the crocodile because there is a crocodile effect that came with the pond tool. It's really funny. But yeah, I thought it would look weird for this kind of coral reef setting because we'll get to it later, but for the aquascaping, I don't want to call it landscaping, it's more of like an aquascaping, right? Yeah, it's more of a coral reef, so yeah. Also, the art that came with Dream Home Decorator is pretty beautiful. I love the modern aesthetic. I think it's definitely one of the better build packs. Haven't really gotten into the gameplay, but definitely in terms of builds by, I would say Dream Home Decorator is probably one of the best if you're into the whole architectural interior design aesthetic. I think you definitely love the pack, and I would be surprised if you still don't have it because it's so good. But yeah, the bedroom is a very interesting layout. As you can see, the bed is in the middle. Once again, I wanted to do it in a way where it kind of gives you this whole panorama of the ocean, and how awesome would it be to sleep in that bed and just see, you know, the sea creatures swim by. That would be so epic. And yeah, I definitely based a lot of my underwater builds on real life underwater structures. There's not really a lot of references, but I have seen some in the Maldives. Really beautiful underwater hotels, and I believe there's also like an underwater restaurant over there as well. That's pretty cool. And yeah, the bedroom itself is just pretty simple. There is a little office area on one side, there is a closet area on the other side, and I just put this lounge chair which fits in really seamlessly with the items from Dream Home Decorator. The lounge chair is actually from Eco Lifestyle, funnily enough, so that's that. And the only room that has its own standalone space is the bathroom, and I kind of tried to do something different with it. Sorry if I'm spinning around and making you all dizzy and stuff. I just wanted to see what's going on, and yeah. So yeah, there's a shower and a bathtub. I'm amazed at just how much content Dream Home Decorator has. I think it has more items than Cottage Living actually, which was a full-on expansion pack, because Dream Home Decorator is, you know, just a game pack. I guess Cottage Living does have the gameplay, so, and I would say I definitely love the Cottage Living gameplay, especially if you're into kind of like the farming gameplay. If you like Stardew Valley, Story of Seasons, all of that, you'd definitely like Cottage Living. But yeah, for the bathroom, pretty simple. I put those pebbles as floorings, which I used to do quite a lot in my builds, and yeah, I got to use them again in this build, and I'm really happy. The bathroom's pretty simple. There's no curtains, so maybe privacy would be an issue, but I mean, realistically, underwater, nobody's probably gonna see you. You know, you use the toilet. Maybe they are, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like some scuba divers that swim by and just randomly swim a person. You know what, I'm gonna put like a curtain somewhere there just to, you know, give you that privacy. Okay, I changed my mind. So yeah, moving on to the aquascaping. As I mentioned earlier, I'm using quite a bit of the terrain tools, which for obvious reasons I wasn't able to use in my previous 2 underwater houses, because since we used swimming pools and not actually the pond tool, because the pond tool was non-existent at that point, we didn't get to use the terrain tools, but I got to use it now, and I feel like it just makes this whole ocean seabed floor type area look a lot more realistic. But there is a caveat to that, and that is every time I place an item, especially like a decorative item, on the ocean floor, it would just float, which is really annoying. I didn't use any mods for this build actually, because at this point I don't think the tool mod has been updated quite yet. So that means that I kind of just had move objects to use, and that was it. So yeah, I just tried to look for items that would sink into the terrain. There weren't that many, but I did find these rocks, and I will be using them mostly as decorations. And I did find some corals that I got to basically sink into the rocks, because the coral ones that I found did not sink into the terrain. Really annoying. I would have liked to have had more corals. Would have loved to have had a more vibrant underwater landscape, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. You can only do so much with limited cheats and no mods. But I'm really happy with how it all came together. I do like how Island Living has unlocked these, you know, underwater objects from debug, and they're so useful actually as decorative objects, especially now that we have the pond tool. You know, I think I would really like to do more like summery themed builds. I definitely have a couple more ideas for, you know, the pond tool, but I'd also like to do some builds in Sulani, because I feel like it's been a while since we've been in Sulani. But I'd like to do a lake house at some point. Oh, and actually, I've been wanting to do this for a while now, but I think an aquarium would be so interesting, so we'll see if we can do something like that in the future, because I still have an ongoing series. If you didn't know, I have my Japanese world save that I'm working on. I feel like it's been a while since I've done a build for that, so yeah, I have filmed some things, so I don't know, we'll see. I have so many ideas, I just don't have the manpower to edit all of my footage and put out content as much as I would like. So yeah, please be patient with me. And yeah, we're just putting in these finishing touches. These are the fish decorations, and yeah, that's pretty much it for this build actually. I hope you all enjoyed it. I definitely did, and this was such a fun build, and also I'm glad I got to revisit some of my favorite builds as well. So yeah, I think that's actually going to be it for this build. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.